All right, it is 5 o'clock. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. This is a work session, so we'll work through the agenda, and then we'll start public comment. We've got several signed up for public comment after we work through the agenda. First, we have approval of minutes, October 30th, 2023, 5 p.m. work session, November 6th, 2023, 5:30 p.m. council work session, November 6th, 2023, 6 p.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, approval of monthly bills, approve October 2023 monthly bills. Any questions? Next, we've got weed abatements, which go from A through P. David, any questions on any of the weed abatements? All right, resolutions. Resolution 23-345, approve extension of a special use permit for T-Mobile to modify existing equipment located at 522 T Laurel Street, Southwest.
Good afternoon, President, Council, Mayor. David Andrews with CMS. This resolution is for an extension, kind of like the ones last week for Verizon, but this one's for T-Mobile. This was approved at the last quarter of last year by the council. They were not able to construct the site. They're wanting to provide 5G service from this location. CMS has reviewed the application and recommends approval of the extension.
Any questions? All right, resolution 23-346, amend merit system rule 8 for firefighting employees.
Rochelle with HR. This is a recommendation from the fire department to amend their 24-48 schedule to a 48-96 schedule. And the merit system, which is the employment policy for the city, would have to be revised to accommodate that schedule. And they're here to answer any questions you have about it.
Do you mind just kind of giving the reasons behind it?
So, Tracy Thornton, Decatur Fire Department. So, what came about with this was people from our department come to us and ask about going to this work schedule. You know, there's many different work schedules. Ever since I've been here, we've done the 24-48 work schedule here. A lot of fire departments do that. There's also some that do 24 on, 24 off, and Kelly days they have 24-72. This is just one of the different work schedules that's become more popular nowadays. We're not changing how many hours we work. We're not changing how much we come in. It's not costing anything any different. We just grouping our days together differently on how we come to work. Instead of 24-48, it's going to be a 48-96. When they came and talked to us about this, we started doing some research in it and looking at a lot of different departments across the United States are going to this because of one of the biggest things is time that you are at home, consecutive days that allow you to sleep in your bed at home instead of being interrupted with the 24-48 work schedule. We also, before we done this, we done a poll with the department and asked the department for feedback on what they thought about it. And we had a 70% say that they wanted to go to it. 20% said they didn't, and 10% was undecided. They didn't care. So later, we went back and done another survey and got the same results on that survey again. So, like I said, it's just it's not changing anything other than how we come in. Our hours we work, all that stuff, it stays the same.
Do you have any concern on that 20% and just having conversations with them? I mean, do you know kind of some of those folks? And
I would say the 20% that don't want to do it would be the older guys like myself. At the end of their career would probably be the group that doesn't want to do it. I have concern always when we have somebody that don't want to do something, but it's hard to get 100% buy-in on anything we do. So I feel pretty confident with this. I know a lot of different departments that go to it, and it's all seems like it's been positive feedback. And when you look at statistics with different departments doing surveys on when they go into this, many of them barely have a majority to do it. Like it'll be a 50-something% that say they want to do it and they try it, and the numbers always increase dramatically of wanting to stay with it. So
out of curiosity, so I work a 24-48 schedule, and in that 24-hour period, you know, we run a lot of calls. In that 48-hour period, if they're running nonstop, that could potentially be dangerous for a patient. And
We already have guys that work overtime and work 48-hour shifts.
Chief,
It's nothing new.
I've heard a lot of good feedback from this. I think I've seen some stuff online too, as far as days at home and nights you're there, you know, everything else. Are there any local departments around that are doing the same schedule? Would we be the first,
In
kind of the North Alabama area?
Would be the first in North Alabama. There is 2 departments in Alabama. Chief Springer, it was, do you remember Lynette was one, and it's a, yeah. We know Spring Hill, Tennessee, and another one in Tennessee that have switched to it recently. And from talking to them, it seems like their employees there have really embraced it and enjoyed it.
Those are really small departments though, and I mean, I guess you said that you knew of a lot of departments, but
Boulder,
actually
Colorado, Key West.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Boulder, Colorado, Key West, Corona, California, Grapevine, Texas. There's a lot across the whole country that are doing it.
But going back to what Hunter was saying, you know, you talk about guys who are doing overtime now and they're doing 48 hours. But in a 4-man crew or a 3-man crew, that's one person out of the entire crew. And the other guys are fresh, and so they kind of can pick that person up. But when you have an entire crew that's been running consistently for 48 hours, that's a little bit of that's a different story.
And the difference between what we do now with a 24-48 is, you're right. We work one day and then work a day of overtime, then we have one day off, then we're back on for another 24-hour shift. It completely changes from what I've looked at when you go from working your 2 shifts to having 4 days off in a row. Or, yeah, having 72 hours, 96 hours off in a row. It changes how it is hard what we're doing now to work a 48, be off one day, and then come back in. You never get feels like any downtime. You're in constant recovery. So hopefully this will be better.
Especially for certain engines here. I mean, there's certain engine companies here in
They're
Decatur
easier, right.
yeah, that like the station close to my house runs constantly. I mean, they're very busy. So
Right.
I just you know, I mean, if they're open to it, then that's fine. Obviously, there's 70% of the department, or I'd say 80%, because 10% undecided, that are in favor of this. But I just, you know, obviously we want to state the risk of understand. I want everybody to understand that in that 24-hour period, with us running the amount of calls we do, we get very tired, and then if you tack on another 24 hours, that can get very, very exhausting, especially if you have no downtime in that time frame. So
And when you do that, how many days off?
I get 2 days off.
But you get 1 day off when you work.
I have worked a 48-hour shift, and it is rough going home
Yeah.
that
Chief,
one
do
day.
you think
and then
this will
coming back
impact
around.
overtime any? I mean, what's your
It shouldn't-
expectations there?
It shouldn't increase overtime, and the studies we've seen, it's actually decreased the
Decreased.
amount of sick time that's used in most instances in the city. The department's sick time usage decreases.
Okay.
And then finally,
And this is also, we voted to do a trial period for 1 year to make sure that everything works good, and then we will reassess it after that 1 year period is up.
Are we afraid of any staffing shortages that could lead to, are we afraid that this could lead to any staffing shortages with that 20% being undecided?
So we have had some people that don't want to do it, but we've also had a lot of people reach out to us and say that when we go to it, that they would like to come and work here. It seems to be a positive thing to draw people. If I'm not mistaken, you even said that you had people tell you.
I've
that
had people from
ask
Montgomery
about it.
reach out to me and say that they've heard about it down there. So, yeah, a lot of people have reached out and said that this is going to be interesting. So, I'm excited to see the outcome.
Any other discussion? Thanks, Chief. Resolution 23-347, approved one-time holiday pay increase.
This is just the annual resolution to authorize the payout of the holiday pay of $100. And the resolution right behind it's the same thing as housekeeping.
For wellness participation. Okay. All right, any questions on those two? All right, resolution 23-349, approve grant application to recycling partnership for expansion of recycling facility.
Wanda Tyler, Landfill and Recycling. The Recycling Partnership is an organization that helps municipalities like ours to better our recycling program. And we are working closely with Indorama because we want to increase our plastic recycling in order to get this grant. And so right now, we're asking for your approval to apply for a $300,000 grant with the Recycling Partnership.
With no match, correct?
No match.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-350, approve confidentiality agreement, Old Moulton Road improvements, A-Trip 2 application. Names.
Carl Pruitt, city engineer. This is a part of, we're applying for A-Trip 2 money to do improvements at Old Moulton and the Beltline. And this is sort of new to me that they've asked for this, but my understanding is based on the data that AlDOT may collect at this intersection, what information we may know about, we don't talk about it, but if the public wants it, they'll have to request it through the state.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 23-351, approve AlDOT city maintenance agreement, Bibb Garrett overpass.
Yeah, this is our overpass that's coming to an end finally, this is the agreement showing, and I think there was a map attached showing what part the city was required to maintain and what parts the state were gonna maintain.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-352, approve Wisner Modus Road right-of-way acquisition proposal.
Yes, we've got to the stage of this project where we've got all the tracks we think we need. I've got a proposal from Bradley Wisner to start that right-of-way acquisition process, and he gave us the proposal, and that's what this is.
Do you have any guess on how long that might take?
The appraisals may take a while, so we'll say there's 30-something tracks, so it's gonna take some time to get all the appraisals done. Once that's done and we start making offers, depending on who accepts, who doesn't, and all that kind of good stuff in the back and forth, it could be a year, I mean, total, getting through the processes.
All right, any other questions? Resolution 23-353, authorize mayor to sign agreement with Fike Building Company for construction management service for recreation center project.
Jeremy Sherrill with procurement, under partnership with Parks and Rec Department. On September 6th, we solicited a request for qualifications to construction management firms seeking to secure oversight of construction of the upcoming rec center project to be constructed at Wilson Morgan. This will be done for a fee of $500,000. Being professional services, we solicited this request for qualifications, received 4 responses from firms in total. We conducted interviews with each of the 4 firms, and we are recommending this agreement with Fike Building Company for construction management service. The funding source is going to be the 3M settlement funds.
All right, any questions?
Representatives from FIDE in the meeting, work session tonight.
Anybody have questions? All right, thanks, Jeremy. Resolution 23-354, approve the purchase and planting of the replacement trees downtown.
Kurt Johnson with Building Maintenance. I'm standing in for Jonathan Gruber tonight. This is a resolution to ask for council's approval to move forward with Superior on replacing 40 crepe myrtle trees in the downtown area.
All of those that were taken up.
All due to cold weather, that have been pulled up.
Okay. All right, any questions? All right, resolution 23-355, approve additional lighting for City Hall North parking lot.
This is also to ask for approval for this north parking lot here to have one double-headed LED fixture installed on a 25-foot pole. To also include landscaping lighting here in the island as you enter and exit out this north parking lot. So,
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-356, approve maintenance items at the Carnegie Visual Arts Center.
This is asking for, it'd be insulation removal and replacement at the Carnegie Arts in the attic area. And it would also include installing a industrial grade dehumidifier to control the humidity level in this building.
Yeah, that's kind of been an issue with mold and whatever.
Yeah, I think for years, so I know they'll be glad to get this.
All right, any questions? Resolution 23-357, approve parking deck cameras and installation project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Brad Phillips, Information Systems Department. This is to approve the budget for the parking deck cameras. Dane was going to present this, but he's out of town. He wanted to wait till the end, do one thing for all change orders and things like that, but we wanted to pull these out separate to go ahead and get them, or give them time to get ordered basically, so they get there, won't have to wait on them. There are two items that we've left off this list. I will get the quotes for. I've got one quote now, but I'll get the other one added for next week for a firewall and switch. Firewall is about over 2,000, and the switch is roughly 11, just based on what we normally pay.
Okay.
And the split. Anything questions about that?
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that? All right, resolution 23-358, approve rollover of funding for previously approved items and projects.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Don Lonergan, Finance Department. Council approved fund budgets expire September 30th annually. These are our projects and equipment in progress and those funds that were not complete on September 30. This is not all of our projects in progress, just the ones of those expiring budgets. It's just a housekeeping matter. We do this annually, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have about that list.
All right, any questions? Thanks, Dawn. Resolution 23-359, approve the mayor to accept and sign contract for building construction associates for the hardscape, landscape, and playground at Chestnut Grove Outdoor Educational Area.
Yeah, Kyle DeMeester, Finance. You may remember this has kind of been discussed for a little while now. GMC administered the bid. We went through multiple rounds where no bids were received, so negotiations were had with BCA. This resolution just gives us authorization for the mayor to sign for the hardscape and landscape construction piece of the outdoor education area.
Any questions? All right, ordinance first reading, ordinance 23-4571, approve annexation request 37523 for approximately 4.9 acres located at 222 and 223 Beltline Road, Southwest.
Good afternoon, Chris Stone, City Planning. This is 4.9 acres of industrial property. It's the current M&J fabrication facility, and they're wanting to do an expansion, so they need access to sewer.
Any questions? All right, boards and committees, reappoint Harold Gilmore to the Personnel Board, term expiring December 31st, 2028. Okay.
Third term this time or third term total? Okay, thank you.
And then, any other questions? Reappoint Frank Pate to the Construction Industries Board, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Any questions? Reappoint Mark McCurry to the Board of Zoning Adjustment, full member, term expiring December 31st, 2026.
Take the place of Brad Townsend, who is not going to seek another appointment. Mr. Townsend's term ends December 31st, and he was also a full member, so this will be moving Mr. McCurry into that full member position.
All right, any questions? And appoint Wendy Treadway to the Ambulance Regulatory Board, term expiring August 19th, 2027.
We had her application, I'm just waiting
For our first term.
for our first term.
Okay, any questions? All right, that's it on the agenda. Anything else anybody needs to discuss or add? All right, we will move into public comment, and Mayor Bowling had a statement he wanted to give before we started that.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have been out of town, and I personally want to give an update on the investigation into the death of Steve Perkins. As a reminder, the City of Decatur can only investigate potential policy violations. The criminal investigation is being conducted by the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. I recognize the pace of this process is frustrating, and we all want answers. The City of Decatur is committed to performing its investigation as efficiently, transparently, and thoroughly as possible. We also want to ensure that our actions do not compromise the results of this investigation. Our process and actions are dictated by federal and Alabama laws. As you may know, the Decatur Police Department's internal investigation was completed late last week, and over the next few weeks, Chief Pinion will hold a predetermination hearing to review the results of this report and its findings. Under Alabama law, following the predetermination hearing, it is a police department policy. If a police department policy was believed to be violated, it would then be presented to the office of the mayor for a determination hearing. At that hearing, the mayor would hear the facts of the case and decide if discipline is warranted and to what extent. Under Alabama law, any decision can be appealed to the personnel board by any merit system employee receiving discipline. The Decatur Police Department has committed, and I have committed, to provide additional information regarding the findings of these hearings public. We will continue to provide updates as they are available in the coming days and weeks. And that's all I have to share. Council President, I'd like to give our directors and other staff members that were here for work session business opportunity to leave if they'd like to leave and not be around for public comment.
All right, we will go ahead and move into public comment, and we'll go. All right, hold on. I got to be able to talk. Let's let them leave first. All right, we're going to move into public comment. We do have several who have signed in. I'll go over it again like we do every week. We do 3 minutes. I think y'all know I don't cut anybody off right at 3 minutes, but when we get to 3 minutes, just try to wrap up your final point so everybody gets a chance to speak. Again, I feel like we've had productive conversations. Let's try to make sure they remain productive, and if they aren't, we'll have to either take a recess or adjourn the meeting. So that's what we're after tonight. So we'll just go in order, and the first I had was Sharika Benson.
Council President Ladner, I'm going to ask, I want to address one of the councilmen first before I go into my statement, and I ask that that not be taken against my time.
Just try to just stay close to 3 minutes, but just.
Okay. I want to address this to Councilman Pepper. At last week's city council meeting, you got up out of your seat, and I believe you were going in this direction, and there was a gentleman there. And from the video that I saw, you rudely commanded him to get out of your way and kind of bogarted your way past him. I think that was very inappropriate, and I want to know what made you think that that was okay to treat him like that.
Please continue with your statement. I'm not going to answer any questions at this time.
Come on.
That was a question.
I'm not going to answer any questions at this time. Please continue with your statement.
Okay, that's your right. But it was on video. If anybody wants to search Facebook or the internet, it was on video. Okay, so you all can see that if you did not. Okay. Well, I'm so glad that this gentleman who was a victim of Hunter Pepper's uncalled for behavior was able to record it. Otherwise, we may not have known that the incident occurred. Just like I'm grateful for Steve Perkins' neighbors who recorded his murder at the hands of the Decatur Police Department officers. So now, Council President Latner, Councilman Jackson, McMasters, and Pike, I want to take this time to thank you for your patience and understanding as the citizens continue to address you in the council with their grievances regarding the murder of Steve Perkins. I do understand that you don't have the authority to hold the officers accountable who committed the heinous act. However, I ask that you do everything in your power to ensure that not only does this not happen again, but also that the police department ceases to engage in acts of harassment against the citizens that they are sworn to protect and serve. So now to the people whose duty it is to hold the officers accountable. That'll be Chief Steve Pinion and also Mayor Bowling. I want to talk about leadership. So what makes a good leader? To quote Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. Doing what's right is often difficult. In fact, many of Dr. King's supporters had abandoned him prior to his death. However, because he had the courage to stand for what was right, he is now regarded as the greatest advocate for justice and equality ever known. Councilman Pike, I thought about the words you wrote to the community a couple of weeks ago, reflecting on your grandfather's tenure as mayor during the Tommy Hines case. I won't be too much longer. And now, some 40-something years later, the community has been rocked by the murder of Stephen Perkins. Not unlike the case of Tommy Hines, Mr. Perkins' murder is now a part of the history of this beloved but troubled city. Every leader aspires to leave a legacy. Your legacy will not be made by the ribbon cuttings you attend or the parades that you participate in or lead. Your legacy will be determined by where you stand on the issues that truly matter to the people. So I'm going to lean on my faith and speak those things that be not as though they were. In the months to come, we will have an arrest, a termination, an indictment, a prosecution, and conviction for the murderers of Steve Perkins. As a leader, do you want the court record to reflect that you pursued justice, or do you want the record to reflect that you were complicit in protecting police officers and a department who allowed such terrible acts to occur against a citizen of this community? So now I'll leave you with this question as leaders. In 10, 20, 30 years, if there were to be a book written on the murder of Steve Perkins, where will your name be in the book? Will you be on the right side of history, meaning you advocated for truth, transparency, and justice, no matter how uncomfortable it is for you? Or will your name be on the wrong side of history, meaning that you cowered from doing what is right by attempting to protect the livelihood of corrupt police officers and disregarding the life of Steve Perkins by choosing, or disregarding the life of Steve Perkins. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Ms. Benson, I want to address just two things real quick. And the first was you thanked us for listening and being engaged, and I appreciate that. I don't know that you need to thank us for doing our jobs. I think that's what we're here for. Everybody up here ran for office to serve, and a big part of that is listening and being there for the people. The other thing you brought up was preventing this from ever happening again, and I think that's been mentioned a few times in here. I certainly think that is something that has to be done. What that looks like as far as policy and procedures, I would think that would be bringing somebody in, but I do think it's time to sit down and look at those things to prevent that, but just wanted to address those two things.
Thank you.
Justin Shepherd is next.
Thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you for City Council here for hearing me out. Thank you for the people that showed up to do their jobs today. It's actually ironic that you said that. Since the mayor decided to show up to work today, I would like to remind him that texting and playing on the phone and digging in your bag when people are giving emotional remarks is very disrespectful and unprofessional. So please don't do it. Also, do not talk down to me again. The murder of Steve Perkins and me almost getting shot is no less important than anything you got going on. The city is committed. Well, I hope they are more committed than the mayor is to the people, or else I'm very concerned about this commitment. This week, the police swarmed around City Hall like sharks, trying to intimidate protesters. Then came out front and told the protesters they can do whatever they want, and tried to give protesters a warning when the cops couldn't even positively identify who the call they received was about. Intimidation will not work. Why is this behavior being allowed to continue? The people are the ones that run this town and won't be oppressed. Police exceeding the speed limit up and down the road, driving recklessly, endangering lives over a pedestrian call is utterly ridiculous. They didn't have their lights on, just like the night Steve was killed. So maybe that's policy here. Well, it's sloppy. Arresting someone for allegedly throwing a tissue is abuse of power and harassment. The citizens are seeing the stains of the department rising to the surface, and it is not looking good. This department needs to work on its community relations, which this department has lost the faith and confidence of its citizens. Just last night, someone went near my home and fired a weapon. I should not have to live in fear of my life. I would have called the police. However, why would they care when the police can shoot into my home and they don't care? So why would it be any different? I really hope that all these meetings that we have gotten up here and been speaking has had an impact on the way that the council and hopefully the mayor think. I know that I have changed because of these events that occurred when Steve got murdered. Our neighborhood has changed since the events when Steve got murdered. Our neighborhood will never be the same. I will never be the same. Decatur will never be the same. Thank you.
Susan Capps.
Good evening, council. Not many people know who I am. I am the one who turned the video loose. All 3 videos of Steve getting killed. I stayed in the dark because I just wanted the videos out there. I'm not here for any fame and all this. But everybody's seen the videos. If you haven't seen the videos, you don't live around here. I wanted to talk briefly about the man that I knew. I have a fatal heart condition, and my time on this earth is limited. I came home, tried to get out of my car, and I collapsed. My blood sugar had dropped to 42. Steve was over there in a minute. I mean, it wasn't even a minute. How he knew, but he was there. His wife, Katrilla. One's holding me up, one's trying to pour coke down my throat, somebody else is trying to get my husband out. That's the kind of man he was. Another time I fell and I hit my head and I couldn't get in the truck. He lifted me like I weighed 2 ounces. Put me in my truck, drove me to urgent care, waited for me at urgent care, and brought me back home. This is the kind of man that he was. He was also a Mason. Maybe you know about Masons, maybe you don't. My father was the highest degree of Mason. You are not allowed to talk about it. You can't ask somebody to be a Mason. I saw that on Steve's truck. And my mom had given me my dad's tie bar and cufflinks when he passed away. He was a Mason. And I thought, why? Well, I know why now. Because I gave them to a great man. My dad would have been pleased. He was a good man. He didn't deserve this. And the pain that Katrilla feels, I mean, I feel pain, but I can't even imagine. I have my husband, forever, how many years I have left. But I want you to look in your heart, and I want to meet my maker someday. And I know I'm going to. Can you all say the same? I mean, you have to prosecute, Mayor. I mean, I've looked at that video so many times that it just makes me sick. But Steve was a good man. He really was. He did not deserve this. Justice for Steve.
Claudette.
I'm sorry.
She was.
Good evening, council, and thank you for this opportunity again. I didn't have a question for you, Mr. Mayor, but I do now following your statement, and that is, I heard the process, but is this process going to be closed and private like the others, or there's going to be some kind of public opportunity? Because thus far, what we know comes from the news and from the council taking shots in your absence, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So if there is a determination hearing where the employee has an opportunity, be it Parks and Recreation, Sanitation, Police, whatever, the employee it receives a letter from me stating what the issues are, the concerns are, and then they come in and we meet in the 6th floor conference room, and that is a closed meeting. If the employee decides to, let's say that there's some type of discipline extended to the employee for what was presented, they have a right to appeal that. And with the appeal, it goes before the personnel board, typically in the council chamber. And that meeting is open to the public.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
But just for clarity's sake, the appeals process only is what she's at. That's what's gonna be public, not the predetermination hearing. That's what she's asking.
Mhm.
That's not gonna be public, correct?
Just the appeal.
Yeah, that's
So-
correct.
So we will only hear,
An
how,
appeal.
whatever
Is that
comes out of
accurate,
pre, would that be made public?
So chief will have a predetermination hearing.
Which is not
Not public, it's private. The meeting that, if it comes to the mayor's office, that will not be public either.
That's what she's asking. That's what I was trying to clarify.
That's what I answered.
So if it doesn't get to an appeals process, how is the public going to be informed?
Will the results of the determination hearing be made public? I think that kind of sums up.
Yeah, whatever public.
Mr. Marks, you're better versed in this.
Well, the answer to that, unless it's an appeal made directly to the personnel board, the exact discipline will not be released to the public. I didn't say ever, I just said.
Okay, so if no appeal is made, it looks like we're left to the WAFF 31 and all 19. Because that's the way we've been being fed with all this entire process.
I would hope not.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, I don't know. Just my opinion was that,
I mean, if
what we can share.
I got some, thank you. This is what because I know you guys have been taking the brunt. This is actually the mayor and Mr. Mark, so I think the pastors are going to plan some meetings and they will talk with them. Because we've been kind of beating you guys up. Okay? They've been doing good, haven't they? Real quick to Mr. Peppers, now you know I was standing right there when that happens. I just want to say to you, since you don't want to speak now, don't come outside and talk to them later, okay? You know why I'm saying that? That's disrespectful, because they've asked you questions for the last 6 or 8 weeks how we've been in here. You say no, and then you come talk one-on-one. That's not quite professional, so that's why I make that statement. I'll make it right. Last, because my time is about up. Mr. Marks, I wasn't gonna say this, but this is just rhetorical, because it really hurt me last week. I was gonna try and keep it to myself till I saw something on one of the videos where one of the citizens here in Decatur asked the protesters not to scare their children.
I'm sorry, what do I have to do?
No, just let me finish. I'm just trying not to. Children that look like me, my kids, we wake up scary every day. And the reason I want to address this is because at the end of the meeting last week, just before, I know you'd had enough, so I can understand him hitting the gavel and says, oh, you said, you made the statement, our people have a right to due process. So I was trying to process this week, who were our people?
That's everyone.
But in the text context, you were trying to explain us about the city workers, and I assume you were talking about the police officers. Let me share what my problem is with that. And I understand the due process, but what hurt me because I was thinking, we have a right to buy property and hold mortgages and homes. Steve was in his home. We have a right to property. Steve was on his property. State of Alabama, by the stand your ground law, says he had a right to stand his ground and to have a gun and all that stuff. And that's what he was doing. Now, forgive me, I don't know if the young man was behind his payment. I don't know. At this point, I don't really care. Because if being behind in my payment or my mortgage is gonna get me killed, God, where we going in America? But the point I wanna make is, where is the due process for Stephen?
And the compassion for the community.
Edward.
We shouldn't have to sit in here and stomp our feet and beg you all to see our way. We all saw the same video. We all have the same eyes. We all should love the same and be the same. We shouldn't have to do this over and over. We've been marching up and down these streets.
Thank you.
We've been in here at these meetings,
All right.
begging, and it's the same.
I hear
old
you.
rhetoric.
I hear you,
And
but
say-
we gotta-
Say something that we can get behind.
Look, we gotta keep the meeting going. I appreciate it. Edward Franklin.
My name is Edward Franklin. And the question that I have for you guys is, what do you do when you don't get the answers and the results that we're looking for? We're only asking for accountability, transparency, body cam, be honest with us. And let me say, I'm afraid that the answers that we're looking for and what we expect is different from your response. And let me remind you that being honest is important with we the people. And we demand straight answers. Mayor, to the council, first of all, let me remind you that you are responsible for the frustration because you're obligated, Mayor, to do something when you see this frustration. You're obligated to do something. You're obligated to be responsible for your job. And my questions, and I have a few, and that is there any hidden motives when you answer our questions? Do you really feel embarrassed or incompetent by your ignorance and uncertainty when we ask you questions? You have a hidden agenda? Is it that you are not interested in what the people have to say? Are you not interested in our conversations? Mayor, most of you there on council have been evasive. You've been silent. But I want to know tonight, are you willing to be responsible for this confusion that we have here? Are you willing to be responsible for that? Try to clarify that with us. And I understand that you don't want to answer. But could you just explain why? And let me say this. When you explain why to us or try to clarify to us, that's still not an answer. Not an answer. Because we're looking for transparency, we're looking for accountability, and we're looking for honesty. And I've sat here over a period of weeks, and there are some things that come to my mind about this council and about this mayor. And there are some words that I want to use that I've observed from you guys. You to me seem like obfuscators. You're doing a well job. You're doing a real good job at that. Instead of answering our question, you come up with a lot of confusing language, and I've heard it tonight. Confusing language and confusing techniques to make it seem as if what we're asking is something that you don't want to answer. We encourage you to be straight with these people. And that's another word that comes to my mind when I look at the council, when I look at the questions that has been asked from these people. That is that you are dodgers. Dodger is a simple word, but it's a word that we see that you are dodging the answers, and when you dodge the answers, you are trying to trick us. That's trickery. Trying to get out of saying the things that would tarnish your reputation. My bell hasn't gone off yet.
It has, yes, sir.
Dodging. I'll wrap it
No,
up.
it's been.
But when you are a dodger, this is my observation that I've seen during the question and answering period.
I understand.
And a dodger is a person that, and I've noticed this about you guys, you're very clever by being dishonest and avoiding answering our question. You're dodging a question yet again tonight. I sat there and I listened. And when you start answering the question more honestly, I want to know, will you? Will you start answering our question more honestly in the future? And if you don't have to dodge us, and when you dodge the people here in this room, you know what it does? It does what you heard back there. You annoy us. It's cause for a noise.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
Mayor, council, I want to say this in my closing. It would be good if you would face the people honestly with your question, with our questions and your answers.
Thank you. Pam Truth, I believe. Pam, or, sorry. Nothing. Good, okay. I think Arthur Warrior, did you sign in?
While Mr. Warrior's making his way, I'm going to try to answer, there are quite a few questions presented, but Mr. Franklin's questions, and I said that in my statement. I'm following a process being guided by our legal department based on the laws of the state of Alabama. And I can't go beyond those laws in this process. if I were just to go out and start willy-nilly making comments publicly, it would position me to where I would not be able to participate in this process. And so with that, oftentimes, I don't say anything. If you get to thinking about a judge, a circuit court judge, you can think back through history of all the judges. You don't see judges talking with the press, making comments away from the bench. Whenever they're making a comment, they're commenting to either the attorneys, they're commenting to the jury, or they're commenting to the person that's being prosecuted. It's in the courtroom. And so in this particular matter, I could very well serve as a judge. And so the same rules apply. Okay?
Mr. Warrior.
There you go, you provided very
Wow. Guys, let's keep going. Go ahead, Mr. Warrior.
My name is Arthur Warrior, pastor of one of the churches in Decatur. I really didn't have any questions if you took my name, and I was going to say nothing, but after hearing Pastor Franklin, it seems to be a lot of evasiveness with the council. All the people in this city want is some answers. And the fact of the matter is, even if you don't have the answer, stand up and tell us you don't have the answers. We can't do anything about that. But as they're stating that sometimes you won't say anything at all. And just leave us just hanging in the balance. And here's what I want to say, and then I'll be done. You see a lot of pastors and ministers have been coming, and we're trying to galvanize, and NAACP and a lot of people, we're trying to galvanize the people of Decatur and keep everything that's being done peaceful. You guys are not sitting where we're sitting at. They respect us as leaders. And this is what he's saying. They respect us as leaders. We want to respect you guys as leaders. They listen to what we say. Everything about our people that we're leading don't want to do it the way we want it to be done. We love our city. We love our city. And there are people that would rather come in and do crazy stuff in our city. And we're trying to suppress that. And it's hard for us to continue to suppress it if we can't get some answers that will kind of satisfy the people that we're trying to suppress it. And we just want you guys to work with us as best as you possibly can, and just let us know we're doing the best that we can. Soon as, and Pastor Potter is saying, we would prefer to hear, even if it's not an answer that we want to hear, we would prefer to hear it from you guys than to hear it on channel 19, News 19 and 48 News and what have you. Tell us. We're mature enough people to be able to handle what you tell us and still stay peaceful. That's all I want.
Thank you, Mr. Warrior.
Mr. Warrior, you know, one thing is from sitting in this seat up here is knowing how people are hurting and knowing we don't have the answers. And it's very hard to sit here and for a lot of folks to think we do when we don't. And, you know, I said it week one, meeting one. I want accountability, transparency, and communications. And there has been times in this process that has frustrated me because there haven't been updates, because there is an internal and it's hard to, we don't know that process. We're not law enforcement, we're not ALEA, we don't know what's going on there. But what we do know now is the internal investigation has wrapped up.
Okay.
We know that.
Okay.
We know there's going to be a predetermination hearing, and then likely to follow a determination hearing. Now, the legalities of what's shared from that, I don't know. I'm gonna find out later. And I think, I wouldn't dare speak for all of council, but I think one of the most frustrating things is that we don't have the answers. And we have to sit up here every week and folks think, well, we're trying to skirt them, and we're not. We just don't have the answers yet.
And I just want to leave you guys with this, is that we're not, Mr. Mayor, we're not against you. Council, we're not against you. We don't hate you guys. You guys are the only leaders that we have. So we're not coming against our leaders, so we're coming to our leaders for whatever answers we can get.
Weak leadership.
All right?
Thank you, Mr. Elena Daly. Hey guys, I'm trying to give, if it gets where we can't hear, we gotta hit it. I understand.
My name's Elena Daly. For one person I know hasn't met me yet, hi Tab. I changed my whole speech tonight because I wanted to talk about this story. This is the origin story of the tail wagging the dog. The tail wagging the dog is an idiom that usually refers to something important or powerful being controlled by something less so. Its earliest use was in 1858 in the play Our American Cousin. Dunn asked Flo, "Why does a dog waggle his tail?" And Flo responded, "I've never inquired, because the tail can't waggle the dog." It was again used in the film Wag the Dog in 1997, and they added another meaning to this, which means unnecessary action in order to distract from a domestic scandal, which is exactly how I felt that you used that statement. Now that we've addressed all that, I'd like to assert our roles here, shall we? We are the dog. You are the tail. We are more powerful than the six of you combined. Always have been, always will be. We, the people. Understand? So now that that's out of the way, I have always been up here speaking, and the ones that have been here know that. Now is your chance to speak. I have one question for each of you individually. They are yes or no questions, or you can say no comment, which is some of your favorite things to say. But you don't have to answer, but it's a simple yes or no question that I'm asking each of you. We'll start with Mr. Pike. Do you believe that if a citizen comes up here and asks for permission to hold a unity protest and also ask for a police escort, that it should be granted to him on the basis of their rights to assemble?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, you're talking about the march on Saturday. I sent an email in support. I can't control that.
Absolutely.
The council can't, but, you know, I don't know what accommodations were made or not. I'm not aware, but.
We actually didn't. We decided not to march because from what I saw and what I heard, there was already units waiting on us to march, but they were not.
You don't got a lot of me. Y'all probably ate too much because I was there.
It was good, wasn't it? It was good looking, y'all. Now, Mr. Jackson, do you believe that the policing system, or rather the justice system, is built based upon an unfair, an unjust, and immoral policy?
I believe that, let me say this, my position has been clear the entire time.
Always.
It's been
That's
clear
why I
the
gave you one of
entire
the
time.
easiest questions.
I have always felt, and I heard the mayor say tonight that we might be judged in this situation. This is not the first time that this has happened in our nation. Other cities have handled it differently than we've handled it. I have felt the entire time that we don't have a policy or procedure that allowed our officers to be there. I was asked the question. And I do believe that the officers have to be held accountable. I do believe that our chief has to be held accountable. I believe that because he is, and someone asked me the question, how can he be held accountable? Because he was at home sleep. The fact of the matter is very simply, and I've said this before, I have nothing against Chief. I like Chief. He's been nothing but nice to me. He's answered every question that I've ever asked of him. He's tried to serve me and the people in my district in the best way that in the best way possible, I think, when I've asked him to do so. But I do think that there's a responsibility there's an accountability, and I think that the buck stops with him.
Absolutely.
So I do think that we have to have things in place that prevent these things from happening. I think that our chief is a person who has to stop those things, and in this particular case, it didn't happen. So I have I guess I'm the only one in this corner who's saying that this has to happen, but it has to happen.
Absolutely. Thank you. Mr. Ladner, as council president, do you believe that if an ongoing policing issue or an investigation is going on, that the chief of police should tell you, or at least be anxious to want to address this city at some point during a city council meeting?
I feel like you know my answer to this.
I'm asking these simple yes or no's.
Like I said last week that I felt like if I'm
No, you
if I'm
can't.
hearing your question,
I said yes or no or no comment to try to make it easier for y'all.
the
but,
answer
you know,
is yes,
Okay.
and the reason if you don't mind me
Go
explaining
ahead.
my
Absolutely.
answer.
This is y'all's time.
Because when there's a vacuum of communication, I think you're talking about communication.
Right.
It gets filled. I mean, I said this exact same thing last week. I'll say that at the end. But I do think we failed with communication to the public.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, Mr. Mayor, if you knew that something like this could have happened before, because it did you ever prepare yourself for the consequences of your job if a tragedy like this happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay. That shows. Mr. Pepper, if your brother were the officer needing to be held accountable, would you still be offering your condolences to the family that was affected by that tragedy?
I'm not gonna make any comments regarding my family.
I was asking if you would.
Let me pause here quick. I'm not gonna make a comment regarding the situation, which I've been very vocal about. I'm not gonna make a comment regarding the situation, no matter at any time at this moment in time until the police release their investigation, or release the information of the investigation. Let me speak. Hold on. Give me a second. For the love of God. It's over.
Hey,
But to answer your question, I'm listening.
Hey, everybody listen for 1 second. Listen.
Still say sorry that they're
Miss Daly, can I interrupt you
We
just
were
a second?
sorry.
Hey, I'm about to have to end the meeting if we can't continue. I want everybody to speak. I actually want to hear from our next speaker more than anybody, is Mr. Eccles. And I want to be able to hear from everybody, but we can't be, we're trying to listen to you guys when you're speaking. Mr. Pepper gets to speak, and let's not interrupt him. He's trying to answer a question. So I'm sorry, but we've got to have decorum. All right, guys, I'm not kidding. We're gonna end the meeting if you don't stop.
Guys, he is trying to answer my question now, so if we could just, for a second. Go ahead.
Again, like I said, I do appreciate your question. I think any question that anybody brings up here is a very important question, which is why we allow the individual, this is why the public's allowed to do this. So they can ask us the questions that they want answered. Whether we can answer them or not, whether we choose to answer them or not, is up to us in this situation.
Right.
And personally, I'm not going to answer any question regarding that matter. And also in this situation, I don't think it's right to bring my family in the situation. Yes, I'm sure you're aware that my brother is a sheriff's deputy. And in this situation, I don't see why we drag him into the situation. He has nothing to do with the situation. But with that being said, like I said, I'm not going to answer any question regarding this matter.
Okay. All right. Way to take the question out of context. But Mr. McMasters, as a police liaison, would you be willing to work with this community to form a new and improved citizen review board for this police department? And would you make sure that their powers were fair and transparent?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go ahead and say, I know I had 3 minutes, but I had to say this afterwards. I didn't expect all of you to have something to say. I thought you would either yes or no or no comment. I'm wrapping it. After all of you answered, a lot of people did want to hear what you have to say. I can't address the police chief, so I'm just going to ask this question to everyone in the room and let everyone sit on it. How many more times do we as citizens have to beg that our officers get more training before that happens? How many more times does a family have to grieve the loss of a loved one due to what's supposed to be a peacekeeping system? On top of that, how much more will it take before enough is enough for each and every single one of you? On top of all this, how many more people have to die in this country, this state, this city, before we decide to rip out the old ways because they don't work and add in new people, new policies, and an even more of an understanding between the two lines. Prolonged justice does not damage my cause because I'm not just here for justice. I'm here to invoke change. Once these cases are settled, you won't be seeing a lot of these faces, but I can promise you that I've now dedicated my life to this. You will not stop seeing my face until I know that my 2 children will grow up in a safer city. Thank you.
Cornelius Eccles is next.
Hey, how y'all doing? I guess I kind of switched up a little bit. I'm gonna start off with Pepper. You just so rude, bro. You really rude. But I think I did some background check on you. I think we're gonna try to find that picture that you was with your shirt off in front of a rebel flag. You know what I'm saying? That shows this whole picture. We're gonna dig that up and we're gonna put it on social media for you. Shows your character. As y'all know, I'm the one that got arrested for the littering, right? Man, I don't even know where to start, man. I don't want to try to make it no black day, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you know when you go to jail for something, you know what I mean? Knowing you ain't commit the crime, you know what I mean? But you still have to go through the process of law. You know what I mean? That hurts, you know what I mean? I didn't have no money to get my car out. I had to call family members. My kids couldn't go to school the next morning because that's the only car we got. That stuff just wrong, man. That's wrong. But with that being said, did some more research. Don't y'all know, as the public, when the city comes out, if we're not happy with them and they're being over-arrested, we can call the county and request the county to come out and refuse the city officers from here on out. If y'all can do that, we're gonna do that, all right? Second, that officer, I'm trying to find out when Mr. Malachi is gonna be, you know what I mean, terminated. You know what I mean? He's the one that beat the Mexican up on Memorial. He's the one handcuffed the girl naked. I don't know too much of that story, you know what I mean? But with the stuff that the complaints that come to me, he got a whole bunch of complaints, man. If I got to put in form request to bring him and present him to the meeting in the next meeting, you know what I mean? I feel as though he needs to be gone, man. He needs to be gone. We're gonna wait till he kills somebody. That's right. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think he was involved in that chase too. You know what I'm saying? Don't quote me on that. On the chase of the little boy as well. But also, police officers get paid, I guess, from the tickets. From what my knowledge is, get paid from the tickets they get, and the more tickets and all that stuff that they get. So in that action, you would think like, okay, if I'm doing the right thing, dang, I ain't getting no tickets. I'm still gonna be stuck at the minimum salary. Okay, now you're in that stop sign when you didn't. Now you're speeding when you want. You see what I'm saying? To move up. But I don't know how we can to fix that. But that personally, that also, I feel as though he need to be gone, man. You know what I mean? But also, I didn't want to do this, but I'm gonna tell everybody: you take one, pass one down. This is failure to register your vehicle. I'm Mr. Constitution. So my constitutional rights cannot be infringed on at any time. Lawyer, you want one? You can have one as well. You can get one. All right, no, this is my right to travel. I'm gonna tell all the citizens: you don't need a license to drive. They've been lying from the jump. From the jump, the right to travel, the right for a citizen to travel upon the public highways and transport his property thereon by horse, drawn, carriage, wagon, or automobile. It is not a mere privilege which may be permitted or prohibited at will, but a common right which is he has under the right to the liberty, to life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. So if we can't get nothing swift, I'm gonna start a class, and ain't nobody getting no license no more, Tab. We ain't buying no tag no more, Tab. And I mean that respectfully. And anybody that got the money to back it up, because you know they still gonna get the tickets and go to court, but then we'll go to the county, then we'll appeal it, and we'll take it to the federal law, which we will then win, sir. So I just asked to do the right thing, that's all. And I counsel the class. I might get railroaded for it. Y'all might come lock me up like y'all did the other day. But I just want the right thing done, that's all. Otherwise, I cancel the class. Other than that, I start a class for all these people in here and show them that they don't need a license to drive. They only need it to commit commerce. Ain't that right, Lord?
I don't have any comment.
I know you don't. Thank you.
You will get your day in municipal court or whatever court you want to have. you've been there.
Yeah, and this is a dismissed ticket for you the rest of
I
the day.
understand that, but you'll get your day, that's all I'm saying, so I don't have anything.
Yeah, but would you want to commit the crime before you have your day in court?
I've said, you get your day in the district court, okay? That's all I can say, that's outside my area.
And also, Tab, I don't know, it's probably hearsay or what. Are you cool with one of the officers that was involved? You cool? Are you friends with any of their grandparents?
I don't know the officers that are involved, sir.
Oh, you don't know none of the officers involved? What? Okay. Yeah, I heard differently though. Because, I'm gonna wrap it up. Today age is 2023. If the people ain't, once you talk to a certain people, you start one story and then when it goes down the line, it end up changing along the way. Sometimes you gotta watch who you say stuff in front of people because the person you told to the person that you told to the person that you told, turn around and tell another person like me or tell another person that's gonna come tell me. So sometimes, if you live a certain way, you might wanna, kind of keep it down because there's some people in your circle that snitch. But some people that's in everybody's circle that snitch is gonna tell your real habitual ways or really how you feel about other people, other races. Because they end up running their mouth and they look like you. Just saying.
Thanks, Mr. Eccles.
Thank you.
I need to clarify something. We ended up putting one of the officers on administrative leave with pay, and I signed that paperwork, so I know the name of the officer that I signed that paperwork for, but to say that I know the officer, I don't know the officer. Okay.
Walter Orr.
Now, y'all really didn't come to say much, because as y'all know, I got assaulted last week when I was here. In the unwanted bump or touch, an assault, ain't it live? And I was provoked last week. Battery? Okay, well, yeah. And I was being provoked, even from the moment I walked through those doors right there before I even come in here. Justin can attest to this. He had already started me. Who? Pepper. And the reason he started is because I called him out. Now, when I go through this process of getting these statements from these people in here, how speedy will y'all be to arrest Pepper and hold him accountable for walking up on someone who had their back turned right here in this little small space and bumping on me and then trying to provoke me to hit him? How speedy will y'all be to get that process done? Or would I have to wait 2 months?
Took them 4 days to get in.
You know what, I'm asking a question to all y'all up at the council meeting. If you were the citizen and you must have got bumped and touched and demanded to get up out their way, when I turned around, this man was on my back, how would you feel? Would you want justice? Would you want to put a charge on him? Would you? I'm asking you, shaking your head over there, you saying yes?
Yeah, if I
so
felt
y'all gonna bag me up when y'all got evidence, video proof, since he cannot answer the question when they asked him earlier?
you want me to answer it?
Yeah, you can.
If I felt like somebody assaulted me, I would go file a police report and I would want it taken care of quickly, yes.
Well, that's exactly what we're gonna do, because we got proof of it. There's several people here that saw it visually. Because I was standing here to the opinion, hey, you can come on up and talk, because I said, you got the power. The opinion had went through that side door. Before I could turn around, this man was on my back. Yeah, this man was on my back.
So
what can we do about that?
Would you like me to speak on the matter?
No, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. Now, I ain't asking you no questions. I'm talking to this.
I tell you what.
I refuse to listen to you.
I'm going to speak. You don't have to listen to me, but I have a right to speak up here.
All right. You don't want to speak to nobody else. I don't have to hear you, man.
So I tell you what, I'll make a slight comment on that current situation. So,
guys.
You didn't want to talk, answer no other questions, so don't talk to me
So
now.
Mr. Orr, are you finished? Or are you going?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay.
Justice for Steve Perkins.
Mr. Ledner, I have something to say.
You can, yes.
Yeah, okay. I don't know who asked the question earlier. I can't remember the young lady's name that asked I think it was the gentleman actually that asked the question. Or it was a young lady sitting right there. I'm sorry, you just raised your hand. So she asked the question. So I'm glad that she did. And at that moment in time, I chose not to speak on the matter. But I'm glad that Mr. Walter Orr has decided to come up here and speak his piece and claim that I assaulted him. So as I was beginning to hold on.
We listened to you. Let him.
So I listen to you. You can listen to me. That's fair. So with that being said, as I began to exit the council chambers, there was a family sitting at the back of the right side corner from where I sit, left side corner if you're coming in from the back here. And the family had to come up here and said that they lost a child. So as I go back to make my way to speak to the said family, Mr. Orr, which I'm sure you have on video, I'm glad you have it, I have it as well. I kindly asked, which he has on video, I said, excuse me. As I said, excuse me, Mr. Orr refused to move. As soon as he, hold on, excuse me, let me talk, sir. So, are you wanting me to speak on the matter or not?
We're almost there. He's trying to respond.
Adjourn the meeting. Just adjourn the meeting, man. Adjourn the meeting. Adjourn the meeting. I gotta listen. Forget it.
Yeah, I asked the initial question to Mr. Pepper. I want to hear his answer.
I'll gladly answer your question, but I'm not going to answer anymore. I continue to get interrupted, so I'm going to withhold my comment now because people continue to be interrupt the statement that I have. So.
Before I start my 3 minutes, let me clear something up real quick. The reason why I didn't march, it was not anything in particular other than because I had made my status known on the phone with the captain. He don't like me too much. And I told him I was going to march. I didn't give a damn what he thought. But I watched white kids and black kids play football. Nobody had to say nothing to them. Nobody had to do anything. And I looked at that and I told my wife before we left, I said, bring $100 with you because I'm going to jail. And then I watched kids play football and I told her there is no way in hell I'm letting these people show their ass. And these kids have to watch their parents leave when they shouldn't have to. This is a day of fun and enjoyment and this family gets to relax. So we're going to keep doing that. So that is why we didn't march. Also, thank y'all for coming. Thank you for your support. I know you couldn't make it, but you made sure to let me know you were there for us. Now, I've sat up here for the last few weeks. I've tried to bring solutions to problems in my city. I'm here to tell you today, you get Craig Johnson the problem. We have sat for far too long and offered solutions to which we're pretty much laughed at. I've watched 5 people carry the weight of your job and you've been absent. And at my job, if I miss too many days, it's time for me to go. Well, I can't make you leave, but I'm here to tell you now, I'm going to make you quit. From this point forward, since we have our city councilmen here that have took that weight when you shouldn't have had to, let me issue you a statement from the people. We're coming. Whatever's in this city going on, we're protesting it. We are shutting it down. If you don't want your children around it, keep your children at home or teach your children why these people protest, and it's so that when they grow up, they don't have to protest when their friend loses his life in his yard. I have come up here with good intentions for the last 2 weeks with solutions when men didn't have solutions that are supposed to have them. I'm a firm believer of sitting down at the table, having conversation and understanding. But I am also a firm believer if the man across the table don't want to listen, you flip the damn table. We are getting ready to flip the table, and we're going to do it legally. And there's nothing that you can do about it because we're going to have a camera in every officer's face we can. Because the worst thing to a bad officer is a video camera, which is probably why we ain't seen the ones from the night we lost Steve. So from this point forward, this city has been put on notice. All that effort you've seen me put into solutions that everybody said was so smart, it will now be against you to show you that we the people will not be played with and we are tired of this shit.
Michael Gaylor.
We ain't got to burn it down, we can shut it down. All this is still out.
How y'all doing today? I moved to Decatur probably around 97.
couple days in the school, new people, all this. I moved from metropolitan area to Mayberry. So one of the craziest things that was told to me or suggested to me when I first got here was, watch out for the street hawks. Watch out for the jump out boys. I'm like, who the hell is that? I'm thinking it's a gang, but it really is a gang. You know what I'm talking about? And it's the gang that y'all represent. I mean, are y'all proud of that situation right there when you got a newcomer coming into your town and the first thing somebody tells them is, hey man, watch out for the police. In none of the big cities I've ever lived in, ain't nobody ever said, hey man, watch out for the police. Because the police already know what's gonna happen if you mess up. That's just big city. But here in a small town, as the cop said out there the other night, we can do what we want. But guess what? You can't do what you want. It's just that simple. Because you wouldn't want us to do what we want. And that has showed time and time again. From people getting slammed, getting concussions for nothing. People coming outside to see what's going on their property and get murdered for nothing. You know, the term eye for an eye stands strong, especially in Texas. So, it's like everybody's been saying, be peaceful. We try to show y'all the most respect possible. It's too easy. So, I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around what makes the police department in Decatur think that y'all can do whatever y'all want to do. Because the thing about it is, y'all think it's sweet out here. I don't keep candy on me. It ain't sweet. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that right now. You take that half wherever you want to take it. My dad was military, government, high-ranking Mason, all that. I'm very intelligent. I might act crazy, but I ain't no dummy. So I suggest that everybody that thinks that they have power, because that's what it is, y'all think y'all have power. Y'all don't have no power. The police don't have no power. The people got the power. And it's just like homie said, it ain't nothing to flip a table. You know how many tables I done flipped with Monopoly on it growing up? And that ain't no joke. I'm just here to tell you, you think you got power, but we give y'all that power, and we expect y'all to do the right things. We respect you. I'm talking about that's really what it boils down to is respect. Because as of right now, the police department don't respect the people. And they've shown that decades. And I'm pretty sure before I even got to this time. Don't nobody give the people no respect. And then y'all turn around and be like, man, why are they acting like that? Stop giving people to act the way. If you give somebody respect, I'm pretty sure they're gonna give you respect in return. But just don't think because you got a little shiny piece of tin on your chest, you're gonna get respect. You gotta give it to get it. I'm just, hey, it's, hey.
Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Y'all keep it up. Y'all gonna see what y'all
All right, Mayor, anything else? Anything else from council? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
What we gonna do?